Welcome to Full Scope, podcast with two guys in their 20s, giving their perspective on the games that we love and the story behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. We had technical difficulties right there, but this is part two of tonight's podcast. And Savon, we're talking about the Saints and the big issue that you see is the secondary, but against them going up against Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, that is a formidable duo. But you said you still like them over them. Is it that liking the Saints offense more, or because you were saying Cameron Jordan, he's very underrated as well. What in particular do you like over Minnesota for this upcoming week?
I think you base it on offense versus offense now, because Minnesota Vikings secondary does give up got a lot of yards in the back end, led by Harrison Smith. So those guys, the front seven, you're not going to run much on these guys. I like their New Orleans Saints offense better just because they have weapons in the running back that can catch out the backfield, do different things, and they mix it up on offense with Jason Hill. So I like them better. I think both secondaries will give up a lot of yards and a lot of points. But I think going in the shootout, I like Drew Brees better than Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry, I had some extra saliva in my mouth. Sorry, sorry guys. No, but Drew Brees, I like Drew Brees better as a quarterback. But I just like the offensive scheme way much because they implement so many different plays and different players. Man, they're stacked. They're really stacked.
When Breeze is eventually done, and when Peyton, like 5-6 years from now, when we look back at this Saints offense and what they were able to accomplish, like how high in terms of just what you view in terms of just dynamic offenses and revolutionary offenses, like how high do you view this duo of Breeze and Peyton and what they've been able to accomplish?
I'm not sure because there's so many good offenses that have played the game of football. You go back to the 93 Patriots or the 93 Colts. It's like so many. You go back to the Jerry Rice era, the Cowboys going back to back. It's so many offenses that has succeeded expectations and going on and done big things as a unit. So it's kind of hard to put them in a place with so many people. But I do think they're a special group of guys. And Sean Payton does a great job of bringing players in that you had never thought of that can attribute to this squad, especially with Alvin Kamara. I liked him at Tennessee, but I didn't think he was going to be that type of player coming out of Tennessee. I always like Mark Ingram. You go get a guy like Michael Thomas, who's under the radar, and then he's doing big things. He's the number one wide receiver. He's killing the game. I wish he had another guy on the other side who was as great as him, but they don't have that. Ted Ginn is kind of injured. He was once that guy, deep ball threat. But they make it work for them. That's why they implement so many different schemes, because they don't have that Sanu or
Julio Jones.
Yeah, Julio Jones over there. They have a Julio Jones and Michael Thomas, but they don't have that counterpart that kind of maxed them that he could bring a double team and bring another guy. But they make it work for themselves. They make it work.
Yeah. Transitioning to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is leading the league with 22 touchdowns, and we said it so many times, they're the most explosive offense in the league, and what they've been able to do this year, especially with a second-year quarterback who really looks like a generational talent, and a lot of times there can be, look, you've seen Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson have really good first years, but to the degree that Mahomes is doing it, and the arm talent he has, and the the skill position players that he's surrounded with, it really looks like this can be like a very special run for his career. But in terms of how, because even last year they had a 5-0 start, but came up short in the postseason against Tennessee. But this year feels different, like in terms of what they have behind center. If there was one person that you would attribute, like, just how good this team has looked, how good this offense has looked so far, who would it be? Because Andy Reid, obviously the architect of this, but Mahomes is been lights out so far.
I don't think you can contribute to just one guy. I think it's a collective of people, but you have to start with
Well, who deserves the most credit? You know what I
he,
mean?
he's not there anymore.
Who?
The guy who deserves all the credit is not there. His name is John Dorsey,
Oh,
ex GM. Now he's a general manager at the Cleveland Browns because he's brought these guys in: Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. I'll get to the GM now, Brent Veach, who was a personnel guy who was at Andy Reid's putting videos and highlights of Patrick Mahomes on Andy Reid's laptop and different things like that. Like, hey, we need to get this guy. But I think John Dorsey has to be the guy. I mean, go get Travis Kelce, you get Tyreek Hill, you get Kareem Hunt, you get guys that bring him in, and then you give Brett Veach a nod too, because you go get Orlando Scandrick, you lose Marcus Peters to the Rams, so you get Orlando Scandrick, who's good in the nickelback. You go get other guys like it's just a lot. I think everybody contributes to it. But if you want to give one person, it has to go to the GM or the personnel guys who scout these guys, because a lot of guys want to be Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he had a big arm, but they saw a lot of flaws within his game. But Brett Veach and John Dorsey saw something different. A lot of guys are like Kareem Hunt. But you go get these guys. You go get Sammy Watkins. You have Travis Kelce playing phenomenally. So it's just, I think you just can't contribute to one person. But
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think you
definitely.
thought I was going to go that way, but
Oh
I
no,
just
I completely did not see that coming, but
right. And he was like, "Wow."
yeah. Um, but in terms of just the playoff issues, in terms of how they usually flame out in the postseason,
Mm-hmm.
do you foresee that happening? Because I really think like this is a team that can go all the way to an AFC Championship game.
I definitely agree with that because they have the weapons. Now, if just they're doing great with guys not being injured, and a lot of guys, I like how the guys pick up their slack. Last game, a lot of they double team Tyreek. He still had a decent game. Travis Kelce had a decent game, but Kareem Hunt stepped up to the plate in the pass game and the run game, scoring in different which ways, highways, sideways, byways. He was scoring all the ways you can think possibly. Reaching it for the power line, jumping over people, trucking people. The guy played. I like how they pick up the slack for these guys. And the
Yeah,
offensive line does not get a lot of credit. These guys, Patrick Mahomes does not get hit often. He's a smart guy. He knows how to elude people, but they make sure he's clean after the football games. But yeah, the talent that they have, defense is giving a little trouble because they give a lot of points, but they're so good in the red zone. I love them in the red zone. But yeah, they can go far. They
yeah,
can. I think when they meet the Patriots again, I think they beat the Patriots. They could have had an opportunity to beat the Patriots last game and went to a shootout, but I think they beat them next time because I think the only team in their way, the Rams and the Patriots, the only team in their way.
yeah. I would probably agree with that too. Because I just think with that game, if they do meet, which we think they will, it's going to be who outscores the other.
Right.
Like it's going to be like you got to put up 30 plus. Um,
Yeah.
Kansas City obviously can do that, and I think how important do you think home field advantage is? Do you think that really matters for Kansas City in a game against New
No.
England?
No, it does not. I think they play to the best of their ability anywhere and everywhere. I think it was a lot of mishaps and not capitalize on different things that the defense gave them opportunity to do. But I think they're better. I think they go back and look at that film and they readjust what they're doing. I think they are good anywhere. They can
Yeah,
play anywhere. You can put them all 11 guys in a booth. They're still going to score. They're going to find a way to score because they have that many weapons. When one other guy is not doing well, or they're double teaming them, or another guy steps up. That's why if they run cover two, Travis Kelce is the guy that can kill all that with the seam routes. They love the seam routes. Patrick Mahomes is a smart guy. He knows how to adjust. He knows how to change plays. I mean, it's kind of hard to find just a blemish of how they're not good. They're good. I don't think you can denounce their throne. I think they're the best offense, high power offense in the league right now. Given the Rams, given the Drew Brees and the Saints, they still are the better offense, talent
yeah.
wise and putting up points.
Yeah, and speaking of a team that you said is another really good offensive team is the Rams,
Yeah.
and I think maybe the one of the biggest, if not the biggest matchup this weekend is probably the Rams and Packers, and it's such a contrast in styles because you have an individually just outstanding player in Rodgers against a well-oiled machine in terms of what the offense can do with in the Rams. And one of the most staggering statistics with this team is that they 51% of the Rams possessions end inside the red zone, and the league average is 27%. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, this is a high potent type of offense, and with Green Bay, it really hasn't. It's not to the level that we usually expect. Rodgers, he's had just, I mean, against the 49ers, and then Week 1 against Chicago, he can just will he can just will Green Bay to wins that sometimes they really shouldn't have because they're in these very they're playing in come from behind situations, and Rodgers just elevates the play around him. But what do you, in terms of this matchup, what stands out to you the most, and who do you like?
Well, I'm not going to be biased this time. I like the Rams. Just giving to our secondary has been just god awful, to be honest. We've
Yeah.
given up so many big passes down the field. Last week against Marquise Goodwin, who had a field day before he got injured, and the previous weeks before that. We just have a trouble of guarding people down the field. I don't know what we draft all these guys and they don't pan out the way that we think, but I give it to the Rams just because I know their secondary is a little bit better than our secondary. And then you give it Aaron Rodgers is not completely healthy. They had trouble of, we have these young guys. So Randall Cobb was out. Um, Geronimo Allen was out. So we had a young guys who are not, up tempo to what Aaron Rodgers does. But I have to give it to the Rams, just given to the talent they have on both sides of the football. They have Aaron Donald. He's going to have a field day against our offensive line. We've had trouble in the past, but man, I got to give it to the Rams. I'm not going to be biased this time. You should be
Yeah.
proud of me, Wellington. You should be proud. You should be proud.
Well, when you said Florida has would beat Clemson, I was wondering
Yes.
about your objectivity. I was like, well,
Whoa. So you don't. I'm okay. That's another story.
that was interesting.
another
I was with you when I heard LSU, Alabama. I was like, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then you said Florida. I was like, whoa.
Well, a lot of
about
people
that.
didn't think we were going to beat LSU. We're going to beat Georgia this week. We're going to beat Georgia
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh,
And
so
then-
you already predicted Florida State, Clemson. Now you're making another prediction. Just
Yeah, we're going to beat Georgia. We had the series. We're still leading Georgia like 7-8 games in a series. Our defense is up to par. Our offense is going to be slow and steady, but I think our defense is going to turn some heads to turn, because our defense. I don't see this another story. Let's get back to the Packers and the Rams, Wellington.
Yeah. But with the Rams, the both. How much of a chance do you see them running the table? I don't think they will. I think they can have a 15-1, a 14-2 season, because they do have to play the Saints, the Chiefs, the Eagles at one point. How much of a chance do you see them running the table, or do you maybe see like a 15-1 or 14-2 season?
It's gonna be a good match. I'm ready for that matchup against Kansas City. That might be a good one.
In Mexico City. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. They're gonna beat Green Bay tomorrow.
What's the over under for like the amount of points the Chiefs and Rams are going to combine for? Like that's going to be.
It's going to be similar to when they played Minnesota. I think when they played Minnesota it was 38-31. It's going to be a high-powered game, a high-scoring game. But man, that's going to be a great game. New Orleans is going to be a good game. I think they'll pull off New Orleans because their front seven is pretty good. I like Aaron Donald against that offensive line. I think the only team will give them real fits, or obviously is going to be New Orleans and Kansas City. But I think they can beat Seahawks, they can beat Detroit, they can beat Chicago. Beat Philly, Arizona, Center. Yeah, they can definitely go. They can definitely win out.
Yeah.
But
But it's just
I
if
think
they, it's just do they want to? Because in terms of like the 13 and 14th game of the season, if they have things already locked up, Sean McVay is obviously a very innovative, aggressive type of coach in terms of decision making. If they were in that position, do you think he'd be like, you know what, let's just go for it, let's just do it, or do you think he'd be like, okay, let's sit out Gurley and Goff for the last couple of weeks?
the last two games of Arizona and San Francisco,
Yeah.
their practice squad can beat them. So I don't think that'll be a problem, Wellington.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be a problem. I think they can beat them without Jared Goff and Gurley.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not even that
Making
is
history with the second
pulling up from the we don't have a G League. NFL doesn't have a G League.
Yeah.
They have a practice squad. Coming up from the practice squad. Man, that's crazy. But no. I think, if they go, I think it's more important than to save their guys for the playoffs. But I'm pretty sure if they don't play Jared Goff or Todd Gurley the last two games, it definitely won't be a problem. I think they'll win.
Yeah.
But I think the focal point is to get to the Super Bowl. And they're gonna need all their guys healthy to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But before we move on from the NFL, Mahomes has had a phenomenal season. Gurley, Breeze, they've all had really good seasons. If there was an early, in terms of just a standout player who's just to you who you think could really be like the MVP, is there any player that stands out to you so far?
It definitely have to be Patrick Mahomes. Just he's got the hot hand. Todd Gurley has been phenomenal for the Rams this year. But Patrick Mahomes is on another level. The guy is throwing with his left hand. He's eluding pressure. He's understanding when to throw it, not to throw it, being decisive, being accurate. He's putting up the numbers. He had 5 or 6 touchdowns in one game. It's like he's breaking records. He's breaking records already. So that Patrick Mahomes has to be the early candidate for the MVP. Has to be. The guy is a great quarter. Well, not great, but he's a good quarterback. But then you could say that he has incredible weapons and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt and Sammy Watkins and all those guys. But without a quarterback to throw them to, and be decisive and read the defense, it's extremely hard without that. So Patrick Mahomes is definitely the guy, front runner. He might get it at the end of the year.
I definitely, that's a possibility. And I really don't even want to mention just all time, just legendary, just set apart seasons. But Dan Marino in '84, when he had 48 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, that was just a lights out season. Mahomes already has like 22. And, the type of season that he's had, it just really feels like one of those seasons we're going to look back at and just really put in the pantheon of great, seasons for young quarterbacks. Transitioning to the NBA, Boston, they came back from a 16-point deficit against OKC to win. And starting off, they've really struggled offensively. I think they're like one of the bottom 4 teams in terms of offense, and then their defense is top 2. But Tatum, he's I think only shot 26% from 3, and Kyrie 18%. Obviously, you were really high on this team. I was as well, and I think that I still am high on this team, even though they're really, it really feels like they're in the feel out process and the feel out phase of things. But the defense is just going to keep them in most games. But in terms of the offense and what you've seen from kind of a slow start, what has stood out to you the most?
Well, the first thing you have to look at is the shooting. Like you said, they're 28th in the league, posting a 47% percentage from the field goal, and 29th of true shooting, 50% from the field. So those guys, we saw last year them going bananas. In the tail end of the season, going throughout the playoffs, shooting above that average they have now. But now they have these different guys. And the second thing, there's the chemistry. I think they don't know how to play with each other, or they don't know how to find the guys that know how to play with each other. Not even the starting five, the supporting cast. When do you play Kyrie and Gordon Hayward together? When do you play Jason Tatum and Kyrie together? I think they're better when, to be honest, when Hayward is not on the court.
Yeah.
But it has to find a balance between these players to see who plays well together. Just find that. I don't know. Just find the magic. Just find the magic you had last year. You have the players. You just got to find the players, and they don't close out games. They had a lot of opportunities to close out a game when they had against the Magics, and they closed out against OKC, but they had a chance to close out against the Magics. It was in Kyrie's hands. He missed a couple shots, but they just got to find that unity. They got to find who plays good together, who needs to be on the court, and they have to drop those shots. They went, I think, either OKC, they started off 0 for 9 for the 3-point line.
Yeah. And there was a stretch where like Horford hit like 3 straight threes.
Yeah.
Adams was really having his way with him in the post, but then Horford he just, resorted to what his strong point is. But it's just like that quick, it can turn around when the shots are falling for them. Morris has looked good. I almost feel like the second unit, I felt more comfortable with the second unit offensively compared to the starting lineup. And I mean, obviously, the starting lineup is we thought it was really going to be tantalizing, but it hasn't been that good so far. So with Hayward, like, how long do you think do you think we can tell? Because he's really been subpar, as you said. Like, how long do you think we'll tell? Like, okay, maybe this was just him coming back in and feeling things out, or is this like really an issue?
I don't think it's an issue. I think they're trying to bring him in slow. They're not trying to. They actually sat him down against the New York Knicks for them to get some rest because they don't want to overextend him. It's still early, but
because he's still on minutes restriction.
Yeah, because they don't want to get him hurt again. He came off that gruesome injury last year, so that's a lot of investing in Hayward. So they want to make sure he's okay. But I think they definitely are better. They played way better when he wasn't on the court for that game. They played good basketball. They just got to find where he fits in. If he needs to come off the bench, then make him come off the bench. Move Kyrie to the 2 guard. Move everyone down. Bring Rozier as the point guard, or switch it up. Do something to figure out who's the best core that needs to be on the court. And I think that it's only what, 5 games, 6 games, so it's still early. So they still have time to figure this stuff out, and they're going to figure it out.
So your confidence really hasn't wavered any in what you think the Celtics. Yeah.
No, you look at their roster, you look at the guys they have on their team. Of course, now why would you lose faith after the 5th game? They play 6 here coming up here shortly. So no.
Yeah. Is Philly, Houston, the Lakers? They've kind of had slow starts. I mean, before we get to Milwaukee, the Lakers, they were able to pull out the win against Denver last night. Philly, they struggled against Milwaukee, and Houston, I think they're off to a 1-3 start, losing against Utah on Wednesday. What other slow start to you has? Because obviously you said it's 5 or 6 games. What other slow start to you has kind of been a little surprising?
Not surprising. I guess I'll start with the Houston Rockets because a lot of guys who's having slow starts. Like in the Houston Rockets, Trevor Ariza is gone. I forgot the other guys that left. So it's kind of But yeah, so it's a lot of guys that kind of they don't know how to play together. These are new guys, new people coming in trying to figure out what Melo is off the court. At playing 6 men. They don't have Chris Paul's getting spit on and fighting. Just a lot of. See, I try to say that without laughing. It's just a lot to process. So
we have to talk about that though. What were your thoughts on that eventful night in LA?
I mean, he got spit on.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people say they didn't see it, but I just saw a couple of videos.
You can see it.
Down. Yeah, they kind of sucked in his lips and like a lot of spit particles, sweat particles flew on Chris Paul's face.
It's not funny. He got spit on, but it's just like still, I can't believe he got spit on.
I didn't expect it to escalate that fast because it was just a finger mush and then a push. He pushed him with the left hand and he hit him with the left hand again. How bad is your reaction time, Chris? Because he pushed you with the left hand, then he hit you with the left hand, and then swung the left hand again, then swung the right. It was just a crazy. And then Brandon Ingram kind of starting that whole ordeal with him pushing.
And that's uncharacteristic for
James.
Ingram. Like he's usually hard.
Yeah, I don't know. Right, but no, that was kind of crazy. But no, it's still early. It's still extremely early for these teams. They starting slow is a good thing for them to realize where they are as a basketball squad. And you look at the Lakers. We already knew Lakers weren't going to come out, undefeated. And I think I love LeBron James because he assesses the first 5 to 10 games on what kind of player his team needs him to be. Yeah. So I think when they got their win, they played the Utah Jazz.
Phoenix.
He came out on. Was it Phoenix? I thought it was Utah Jazz.
No, they didn't beat Utah.
Oh, I was watching highlights before the podcast.
I don't think they would have beaten Utah, honestly.
I could have sworn that was Utah.
Yeah, it was Phoenix.
You sure it wasn't Utah?
I'm positive because Utah was playing Houston that same night.
Okay, whatever. Okay, but no. He came on fire. Like he was that dominant force he had to be last year. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into gelling a championship team. It's going to take some time.
And
I'm not worried for any of these teams just yet.
Yeah. But with McGee, I mean McGee. One of the concerns I've had for them is their size. Because McGee is that's kind of he's been the starter for them and. He's looked solid so far, but when Kuzma's in there, I mean, on average, when Kuzma is playing center in their small ball lineup, they're giving up a ton of points, and they're already giving up 117 points per game. To me, that element, and I don't think LeBron is extremely comfortable playing the 5, but. With McGee in there, he's looked solid so far, but Kuzma hasn't really with that small ball lineup and Kuzma at the center, it hasn't really looked that strong so far. Yeah,
true.
Transitioning to Milwaukee, they're off to a 4-0 start, and the defensive change with Budenholzer they haven't looked like phenomenal defensively, but they've looked a lot better defensively. And, Chris Middleton and Lopez have been really efficient from the perimeter. But with how Milwaukee with how Giannis has looked so good and Milwaukee getting off to a quick start, what change has kind of stood out to you the most? Is it like the strategy Budenholzer has? Because obviously he's a very good coach, but it seems as though having Giannis and surrounding him around 4 shooters has really been a lot different, and Bledsoe and Brogdon, their defensive activity being up as well.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Budenholzer is a great coach, but I think you just look at the transactions they did in the summer, bringing Brook Lopez from improving with the Lakers, his 3-point shot and being a good paint guy and a defensive guy. You bring that different element that you didn't have last year, and a big man who can spread out the floor. Give Giannis that one way to the drive, or he can kick out. I think a lot of movement. They have a lot more movement that they didn't have last year. You had Eric Bledsoe like halfway through the season last year. He's a great defensive player. Then Chris Middleton, he's on fire, man. I didn't know he was that good of a 3-point shooter.
He's an amazing mid-range player, but from the perimeter, he's just been it's been astonishing how well he's been.
Everything is falling from him, man. Giannis is Giannis. Giannis, it looks so easy. I feel like he's improved his game so much, and that he improves every single year. And you give him the players that will help him as well, like Brook Lopez.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna get this 5-0 start for them. But but I'm kind of eager to see, can they, sustain that energy, that drive they have right now. Can Brook Lopez continue this? Can Chris Middleton continue this shooting frenzy he has from the 3-point line? I think that's going to be the question that has to be answered soon.
Yeah. And you were saying you're not really concerned about any team, but against Philly, which is a team I actually am concerned about in terms of, Fultz not taking the next step yet, and the shot not being there. And then, them switching it up like, okay, we're going to start Fultz, but we're going to start Redick in the second half. And then those like rotational issues still being a problem. I don't think they're I don't think Milwaukee's in the Boston, Toronto tier, but I do think they're in like near Philly in terms of, having a chance to be better than them this year. And just in terms of the space they have, what Philly, I almost feel like they're like a mirror of what Philly was last year in terms of the spacing. Like Philly had that last year. Now that element is not exactly there. And I definitely think that's been like the biggest change.
Yeah. I see your concern. I think they're really just trying to ease Mark Fultz into the scheme of things and try to give him more,
empowerment.
Not, I guess yes, or just give him more confidence of it. Just confidence in himself, because I think that was a good move when I first heard of that. Starting him first half and let JJ finish it off in the second half. I thought that was a good way to just benefit the team. But now it's just different things. Like, remember we talked about the offense they kind of run when Embiid is in the game.
It slows down.
It slows down so much. They're better when they're on the move. They're moving guys around, having JJ in there, going to 3-point line.
The last 16 games with Simmons, it was phenomenal because they just it was so much of a free flowing offense.
Yes, and they're better that way. Because now Joel Embiid is that guy that center who's versatile, but they want to give him the ball. So, like you said, it slows it down. But you look at Brook Lopez in Milwaukee, you look at, guys who have big men who can shoot 3-point jumpers. They spread out the ball, they move, they're running. In this sense, I just want to see them run. They're better when they're on the run, fast breaks, different things like that. They have to get to that because just stopping – they're not good when they have time to just let Joel back it up, turn around, shoot a jumper. That's not their offense.
Yeah, and I think Joel's their best player, but just that type of slowing down the pace is something that's not very effective for them so far.
No, it's not.
Yeah. But before we close, Anthony Davis has looked really good. Giannis has also looked good. Blake Griffin, he's actually had a pretty impressive start.
Blake Griffin, jeez.
I don't know about you. I didn't expect the start. He's obviously it's a 5-game start, but he's looked pretty good, and Kawhi's looked good in Toronto. But before we close it out, is there one player whose start has really impressed you the most? Because Davis in New Orleans has looked just flat out phenomenal so far.
I have to give it to Kawhi. He's actually looks like he's having fun playing basketball again. And I think having Danny Green there is like a piece of heaven for him. I think he really liked the Spurs. He liked everything the Spurs gave to him and his identity, but he wanted to become a different player. And I think he's showing that he can be that, because a couple games, the first half, especially against I want to say the Celtics, right? Was it the Celtics?
Yeah. They played them last Friday.
He looked kind of sluggish. And then the second half, he came out. He got a lot of mismatches, one-on-ones, and he made them pay. He made sure that they know I'm a two-way player now. I'm not with the Spurs. It's not scheme anymore, man. So now he's bringing that different. I like that. I like that edge he has, even though he's going to play there for 1 year. But –
oh,
he's gonna
even though he's going to play there for 1 year and go to the Clippers, and Toronto will be back to where Toronto has always been.
Yeah, true. But I don't think he goes to the Clippers. I think he goes to the Lakers.
Yeah, I'll say the Clippers, but Yeah.
They have enough money. The Lakers have enough money to get
So
him.
do the Clippers. They got two max
Why
slots.
would he go to Clippers? It's an abomination, Wellington. It's an abomination. If he goes to the Clippers, that'll be the worst decision of his entire NBA career.
This is the last thing I'll say before we close out. A Kawhi, Jimmy Butler pairing in the Clippers isn't impossible.
Jimmy's. Happen. Oh yeah. Before we close.
Oh yeah. Go to
Did you hear the trade? Did you hear the trade?
Four future first round picks. Is that right?
For Houston? Yeah.
That sounds like a done deal to me.
That sounds stupid, to be honest. Houston? What? We got a problem. What are you doing? Like, no, don't do that. No. I know everybody.
They want him really bad.
Everybody in the stands like, no. We don't want Jimmy that bad. We don't need Jimmy punching Chris or James in the face. We don't need that. But he's not worth 4 first-round picks. That's a LeBron James deal. That's a James Harden deal.
That just shows me it's eventually going to happen. You know,
that's crazy. But yeah, that's crazy. If that happens, I'm not watching basketball ever again.
Why is that?
That's a terrible deal. Because remember back in the day when Chris Paul was trying to go to the Lakers?
Yeah, and Stern vetoed it.
Yeah, like now everybody's going everywhere. That's a crazy situation. Basketball is an abomination. I'm joking.
Well, that closes. Yep, Savon, just let you know, basketball is an abomination. That's all we need to talk about. Well, that closes it out for tonight. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, along with my counterpart, Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.